Among the sects in the Jianghu, Nine Mortal Ways is always the most notorious for its scamming and con artist nature. Yet why would a sect choose such a path for its disciples? Unlike most sects, whose identities are shaped by their founders' traits, Nine Mortal Ways traits were chosen and adapted alongside the rise and fall of Kaifeng itself over nearly 2,000 years. Let us explore what gave rise to these hidden protectors and their enduring nature, together with this great city. The spiritual origin of Nine Mortal Ways begins in 257 BC, back at Warring States period, when Kaifeng stilled called with the name Daliang, the capital of state of Wei, with the story of three people from entirely different walks of life: an aristocrat, a butcher, and a hermit. Through wit and courage, they expelled an invading force, not by imperial command, but by the actions of three individuals, each representing a different level of society. They were Lord Xinling, the aristocrat, Zhu Hai, the butcher, and Ho Ying, the hermit. Lord Xinling showed no prejudice towards status or class. He treated both men with sincerity and respect, and in return, they chose to serve him of their own will. At the time, Qin's army laid siege to the capital of Zhao, an ally of Wei. Although Wei's general had already led troops to the border, the court, fearing Qin's retaliation, ordered him to wait and observe. Lord Xinling's relative, the Grand Chancellor of Zhao, urgently sought his aid, but Xinling was bound by the court's decree and could not act openly. Ho Yin proposed a plan to seize the Tiger Tally seal and issue a false order in the king's name to take over the army's command. Possession of the imperial tally or seal represented the king's will. It could command armies or incite rebellion, and such an act could condemn all three men to death. This authority was no different from how the River Master, bearing Emperor Chai Rong's seal centuries later, immediately drew the attention of the Song prefect Zhao Guangyi. Lord Xinling succeeded in obtaining the seal and rushed to the army camp with Zhu Hai. Yet the Wei general, Jin Bi, refused to believe him and would not relinquish command. At that moment, Zhu Hai struck Jin Bi down with his hammer. Only then did Lord Xinling take control of the army and drive back the Qin invaders. Victory came at a heavy cost. Lord Xinling and Zhu Hai were forced to remain in Zhao to escape the king's wrath. The Wei general you face underground may well be the fallen Jin Bi himself. Ho Ying stayed behind in Daliang and chose to end his own life, preserving his dignity and loyalty. Before parting, he gave Zhu Hai a map of the underground beneath Kaifeng, where Zhu Hai would later establish the Ghostlight Market. It is possible that Zhu Yousheng, the future Tao Lord of Nine Mortal Ways, was Zhu Hai's descendant. This victory only delayed the inevitable. 30 years later, Qin General Wang Ben flooded the city and destroyed the state of Wei, a story we will return to later. The legacy of these three men became the foundation of Nine Mortal Ways: the loyalty of Lord Xinling, the quick wit of Ho Ying, and the martial prowess of Zhu Hai, without prejudice toward education or social class. The sect's name reflects this belief. It comes from the phrase, 3 teachings and 9 ways. The 3 teachings refer to Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism, while the 9 ways represent all walks of life, every profession and social status. Unlike factions such as the Shuangyang cult, which requires Taoist practice, or the Inbound Order, which follows Confucian teachings, by discarding the 3 teachings, 9 Mortal Ways removes all prejudice and class systems, making it a true Jianghu sect of the people. And as for why deception and con artist tactics were chosen as the sect's defining traits, these qualities were shaped when Nine Mortal Ways officially formed 15 years ago under Zhu Yousheng as a resistance force during the Khitan occupation. After the fall of later Jin in 947, the Khitan occupied Kaifeng for months, brutally raiding and pillaging the city. During this time, Zhu Yousheng rescued a Sogdian boy from being boiled alive, who later became his renowned strategist, Elder Chou, who advised the strategy of urban warfare using the cunning nature of merchants and laborers within the market and cooperating with Jianghu figures to fight the Khitans. They relied on sneak attacks, ambushes, sabotage, and spreading false rumors. These tactics proved effective against the Khitans and later became the defining strengths of Nine Mortal Ways. Many Jianghu swordsmen rose to fight the invaders during this time and became agents cooperating with Nine Mortal Ways. They came from all walks of life: the king of gambling, Kui Chongyan, the madman Ding Pu, and a drunken master, the seamstress Granny Gray, and a master, Ni Lao Shan. Many of these old-timers and hidden heroes of Kaifeng would become elders of the sect or members of the 14 Fiends of Ghost Street. Ghostlight Market served as a survival refuge and resistance camp for Kaifeng. Zhuyo Sheng, along with Li Xia and Hongsi, became pillars of the sect. But not all tales are victories. A rift emerged when Hongsi chose to betray the sect. On the day King Guo Wei of later Zhou entered the city, threatening to expel the Khitan for good, the Khitan, in desperation, kidnapped Hongsi's parents. Arrogant demands followed. Yet the disciples of Nine Mortal Ways could not sacrifice the greater purpose for the lives of two people. A brutal dilemma not everyone could endure, forced to choose between watching one's parents die or submitting to the will of the sect. He betrayed Nine Mortal Ways by revealing the secret passages beneath Ghostlight Market, guiding the Khitan to infiltrate the sect's base. In desperation, Zhuyo Sheng and his loyal followers walked into the poisonous mist, becoming warriors who were neither fully human nor ghost. This transformation made them formidable and fearless, but also stripped them of their minds. Even today, these spectral warriors still linger. They patrol Ghostlight Market during the day, continuing to uphold the orders Zhuyo Sheng gave long ago. After the war, the rift never mended. Dao Lord Zhuyo Sheng was turned into a half-ghost figure, while Li Xia died during the Khitan raid. Hong Tzu founded the Unbound Cavern, which accepted cutthroats and bandits, and swore to wipe out Nine Mortal Ways. He also kidnapped the twin children of Li Xia, leaving the sect leaderless. But Chou would not allow the sect to fall. He installed Zhuyo Sheng's young third son as the next Dao Lord, Zhu Xiaojia. For more than a decade, he raised the children of Zhuyo Sheng while serving as the mastermind behind the sect. Recently, however, Hong Tzu returned and reorganized the Unbound Cavern to strike Nine Mortal Ways once more. Many believe Li Xia's children were kidnapped 15 years ago for revenge, intending to harm them. Yet he later returned them unharmed, and they even became disciples of Nine Mortal Ways. Meanwhile, Dao Lord Zhu Xiaojia mysteriously disappeared. What really happened to him, only Elder Shui Chou knows. The disappearance of Dao Lord once again threatened the sect's stability. Understanding that the spiritual authority of a sect leader exists through faith and martial prowess, Shui Chou devised a plan involving the triplets he had rescued from a blood pit earlier and had cared for ever since. In the past, they were trained and forced to fight under the name Chen San, a grotesque figure with 3 heads and 6 arms, wielding unpredictable movements. As an illusionist, Shui Chou was naturally a master of deception, skilled at exploiting human hope and expectation. He created a fearsome figurehead to serve as Dao Lord, perfectly suited to lead Nine Mortal Ways in appearance. Other disciples believed the triplets were merely orphans taken in by the sect. Thus, quick wit and deception became the exact traits he wanted his disciples to master. Since their traditional tactics rely on stealth, secrecy, and sabotage, disciples of Nine Mortal Ways must hone their deception skills for every situation, whether against enemy invaders or internal plots, and learn how to prevent threats before they even take shape. This was evident in the incident of the spy list and inscribed booklet stolen from Blissful Retreat by the Orient Pavilion. Nine Mortal Ways was the first to discover that these items had reached Kaifeng. If they were to fall into Khitan hands, Southern Tang and the Khitans could have joined forces once more, bringing renewed danger to the realm.
Both the mechanized box containing the list and the Yin inscribed booklet that deciphers it fell into the hands of the Jiangnan state.
You mean the kingdom of Jiangnan wants to use these items to make peace with the Chitans?
That's a coded message. You need a special book just to figure out what it says. Since they couldn't deliver Tianying's head, they're using this as a stand-in to show they're serious about teaming up.
Therefore, Nine Mortal Ways chose to strike first, retrieving the spy list, destroying the booklet, and killing the Southern Tang envoy, all through your gullible hands.
That is the unique technique of the Nine Mortal Ways.
And what if I hadn't caught him?
I'm an elder of the Nine Mortal Ways. Would I set you up to fail?
Once again, you were merely a pawn in the endless schemes of the Zhenghu young master. In a city constantly entangled in plots and counterplots, deception and deceit are the most effective weapons. In times of peace, Nine Mortal Ways continues to act as the hidden protectors of Kaifeng, helping those who cannot protect themselves and the poor. Recently, the Tao Lord stormed the slave market of the Unbound Cavern and rescued all the kidnapped people. They continue their tradition of saving those who have nothing to lose, and, of course, scamming and tricking those who do. Have you ever wondered why Zhenghu warriors and middle-class people, merchants, Taoists, and nobles are the main targets of Nine Mortal Ways schemes? Because they are the ones who can protect themselves, and they are the ones who have something to lose. In times of peace, Nine Mortal Ways acts as the balancing force of Kaifeng. As Little Fu once said, there are two Kaifengs. The prosperous surface of the capital lies above a dark surge of sorrow beneath. The greater the distance between rich and poor, the more unstable the city becomes. Nine Mortal Ways scams and cons the middle and upper classes to aid the helpless, the orphaned, and the lost, and they do so as a way of honing their deception skills. All the money used to help people is recorded in their ledgers. Many disciples of Nine Mortal Ways come from street children or orphans of war. The sect took them in and raised them under its protection, literally born from the vulnerable and underprivileged and rising to become aid for those very people. They have every reason to take pride in what they do. That is why I like to call them the balancers of Kaifeng. When the city is at war, they become the resistance. When the city falls into turmoil, they become its last lifeline.
With the coin shortage in Kaifeng, everyone's tight on money. No matter how bad Tong coins are, at least they still pass. So we slip some in. When there's no money, iron coins can get you by. When there's no food, even bran can fill you up.
Whenever the city is out of balance, they are the force that restores it. Back then, the Khitans called Nine Mortal Ways rats. But that only showed their frustration, their powerlessness and helplessness against a force they could neither kill, humble, nor eradicate. If I were among Nine Mortal Ways, I would wear that name with pride. For Nine Mortal Ways is the hidden hero, the protector, and the balancer of Kaifeng. Dynasties may rise and fall, empires may shift and change, but Nine Mortal Ways was born with this city, lived with it, and will endure alongside it. But before we leave, let's dive into the underground, where Nine Mortal Ways guards the secrets of 2,000 years of Kaifeng. Let us see whether these secrets are tied to Nine Mortal Ways' fixation on protecting the vulnerable, those who never had a choice, whose unjust deaths served the interests of those in power. Beneath Nine Mortal Ways' underground base lie layers of city built upon city, mixed with bones and river silt from countless floods. Throughout history, Kaifeng has passed through 3 dynasties. The deepest floor is filled with the wailing of the drowned. 30 years after Lord Ximling expelled the Qin invaders, Qin continued its campaign to unify the land. General Wang Ben spent 3 months redirecting the Yellow River into Daliang while maintaining the siege. The city was heavily flooded and more than 100,000 people died, including civilians. After great floods came plague, represented by swarms of rats. This chapter of Kaifeng's history shows how the lives of common people were deemed worthless in the pursuit of unification, for the so-called greater good. The state of Wei was conquered, and Daliang was abandoned, reduced to a mid-sized market town renamed Junyi. During the Han Dynasty, Wei became the kingdom of Liang, and Junyi became its capital. In 132 BC, a massive breach of the Yellow River at the Huzi Dike caused the river to change its course and flood the surrounding plains, triggering a crisis that lasted nearly 60 years. As the imperial court was preoccupied with war against the Xiongnu in the north and delayed flood control, they turned to sacrifice and sorcery to appease the river gods, offering both humans and animals as sacrifices. These agonized souls could find peace only after release from the sacrificial pox. Moving to the most recent layers, we reach the era when Kaifeng was known as Bianchou during the Tang Dynasty, its walls lined with defensive ballistas. These uppermost ruins may be remnants of the Amlushan Rebellion, which began in 755 and lasted 8 years. One of the largest rebellions in Chinese history, it nearly destroyed the Tang dynasty and marked the beginning of its decline. The wailing city guards linger over the fallen walls as the realm sank into chaos. As we can see, in all these calamities, the ones who suffered the most and were completely forgotten by the wheel of history were the common people. They were the first to die, the first to be sacrificed for the ambitions of those in power. And even in the present age, such suffering still continues. Perhaps this is why Nine Mortal Ways placed these puppets here, as reminders of those who still suffer today. Countless ghost brides were killed to serve the custom of ghost marriages, as revealed in the tale of Ghost Master Jiang Kui. Others were turned into dream puppet experiments by those who pursue immortality and absolute power. All of these stand as reminders of suffering. And this is why someone in the Zhenghu must protecting the vulnerable and the weak, in the name of righteousness. For Nine Mortal Ways, this belief is no longer tradition alone. It is their true purpose.